Welcome everyone to the Wake Up Call channel. For those of you who have followed my content over the years, predictive programming is a real thing. I'm sure some of you who are new to my channel or new to what's going on have heard about all this stuff about The Simpsons. They predicted this, they predicted that. It's not predicting, it's a form of magic. It's a form of spell casting. They reveal these things ahead of time before they unleash it on the world. A lot of these plots of movies end up becoming reality for a reason. Yet most people, even though their lives, without them realizing it, are revolving around magic. Their favorite films are all about magic. They grow up on all these Disney movies. Every single plot has to do with magic, from Beauty and the Beast and the Magic Rose to Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the Magic Kingdom. It's all about magic. Yet they don't believe that magic is actually real, even while they're at Disney World eating dinner in the Magic Kingdom. They think it's all some type of fictional thing to sell t-shirts and sell merchandise. Magic is real. It is mentioned in the Bible. In fact, in Exodus chapter 22, verse 18, quote, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." These are verses, of course, you never hear mentioned in the church, the loving 501c3 church that keeps their congregations in the dark about the wickedness in the world and coddles their congregations, or in some cases, many of these preachers don't understand the evil going on around them. And that's why, with all the stuff going on with Donald Trump right now, this movie coming out is exactly a perfect example of how all of this stuff works. Even though the movie is a low-budget type film that nobody probably had ever heard of until right now, the coincidence is that the film came out a few days before the event occurred with Donald Trump. And the same thing occurred during the outbreak a few years ago, where people were supposedly getting sick, right? How many films did we all reveal and then get removed, of course, from the internet? How many films did we all reveal that were low-budget films that nobody had ever heard of, that revolved around an outbreak, that revolved around the same exact thing happening around the world? And then, of course, we saw in those movies lockdowns, quarantines. It was a blueprint, and it was also a form of magic. That's what they do. So with Donald Trump and this event that occurred, there's a major spell being cast over Christians around the earth, right? And we see how a lot of these preachers have jumped in and called this divine intervention, some of which are doing it because they're bought and paid for, while others are following the hypnosis because they don't even realize that hypnosis is real. And that's why most of these preachers should just stick to reading the Bible out loud to their congregation if they can't actually comprehend what's happening in the world. But most of them don't, because most of them don't believe in hypnotism. They don't believe in mind control. They think that they're making these decisions that they're making freely. And Christians are being baited into yoking up with the Republican Party. And again, this movie, Thine Ears Shall Bleed, I'm going to play the trailer for you, but let me read the plot to you. Because while the plot at first might not sound like anything correlated to Donald Trump, it very much is. The plot is in 1860s America. A minister's family hears an unexplained noise from the woods during their wagon journey. Sounds innocent enough, right? But here's where you could correlate it with the ear and what's happening in today's society, especially since this event went down. Quote, "Mistaking it for divine presence, they worship until realizing its sinister nature. Thinking that they are hearing a voice from God, thinking that it is divine, the presence that they are listening to. But in reality, it's sinister. They're being deceived." Sound familiar? Take a look at this trailer for Thine Ears Shall Bleed.
Are we stopping, Father? This is not right.
Seems a fair place to camp. We shall stop here for the night.
Ezekiel?
Heavenly Father, is that you? God hath spoken. We are in the presence of the Lord.
What are you writing?
It's more akin to transcription of this mysterious sound.
Do you not think he's been acting quite oddly?
He's listening and hearing something godly.
Father! I'm afraid these woods have made me ill. I'm Woodrow Booker. And you, sir? Their father?
Reverend Ezekiel Thatcher.
Reverend. Now I know I'm in good hands.
What if it's not God in these woods, but something else? Something unholy?
Christian folks say it's the devil's disciple who comes in the night to possess the innocent. Something strange and unworldly is afoot.
Father says we're in the Garden of Eden.
It is not Eden. It is
sorcery!
Maybe it's too powerful.
Oh, no! Everything is caused by He who resides above.
That sound is not God!
It is!
If anything, it's the devil himself!
It is a miracle of God!
You shall not infect me!
So again, most people will hear that and they'll say, oh, that's just a stretch. Because they don't understand how any of this stuff works. Most of these people are so brainwashed, they think that all the decisions they're making in their day-to-day life are their own decisions. They don't realize that the decisions that they're making are influenced. Their behavior is influenced through not just the news, through all forms of media, how they dress, how they talk, what becomes new terminology as far as slang and lingo. All of this stuff is fed to them through the media deliberately. This is a form of mind control, behavioral control. Remember those quotes that they always talk about with behavioral control and how that's the goal of these big corporations, the same corporations who work hand in hand or are really the United States government. So something else to take of note in this synopsis of the film is that in 1860s Montana locations, Reverend Ezekiel Thatcher, daughter Abigail, and son Luke are riding a covered wagon through high forest in order to retrieve a pipe organ the minister hopes will increase his flock. Okay? Look at the increase in the flock that is following Donald Trump since Saturday. People who are on the fence are no longer on the fence. People who were once just supporters are now loyalists to the point where they would die themselves for the party. Like I've said, dual communism, okay? But listen to this. So the pipe organ the minister hopes will increase the flock. A fork in the road appears, albeit not on their map. They choose in the fork in the road to go to the right, choosing both the direction more conspicuously traveled and the suggested path of righteousness. The right, the right, the right. What do we identify the Republican Party as in today's society? The right. What do we identify the Democrats as? The left, and the right, the left-right paradigm. Also in the occult, they have the left-handed path and the right-handed path. Has anyone ever asked the question why, if it's the conservative Republican Party, it's called the right, and why with the Democratic Party, it's called the left? What, you just decided to pick a hand and decide, well, call them the left and we'll call them the right. One side, it's a bit of a stretch if you ask me, especially if you know about the occult and you know about the left-handed path and the right-handed path. So many people will see a trailer like this, even the poster for it, where you literally see this emphasis on the ear, and they'll say that this is a stretch because they don't understand how mind control works. Just like when this whole event went down, right? How many people saw, a lot of you have subscribed to me over the years, and we've been talking about this for years and years and years. And I'm sure you've listened to other channels that have talked about it. None of us ever claiming to be prophets. At least I never have. So how would I know that this was going to occur, a fake attempt on Donald Trump? Because they tell you it. They show you it. From The Simpsons to Dead Zone to all the predictive programming and music videos where they show Trump having his head cut off, right? From Kathy Griffin to celebrities like Madonna and Johnny Depp talking about it, right? Then when the event actually occurs, none of these people realize that they've been telling you it was going to happen for years and years and years. They're just in shock. They can't believe it. How did this happen? Meanwhile, it's been on the news almost every single day for a decade now, since 2016, for 8 years where they've been talking about attempts on Trump. People have rushed the stage. Now suddenly they're shocked. Now suddenly they can't believe it. They've been programming you for this. And now that it's happened, these people become unhinged. And what does it do when you do something like this? Look what happened with just Donald Trump going to court and how unhinged people were becoming because they were seeing that the Democrats were using the Department of Justice, the FBI, and the CIA to go after Republicans, feeling as if they were going to come after them too, right? Which is done by design. Done to make you associate with the party, to feel the same thing. Oh, I feel like what Donald Trump's feeling because I can't post on Facebook. I can't post on Twitter. I feel like they're coming after me. Then they swing the pendulum, the seesaw effect, right? And now all of a sudden Donald Trump is a hero. And what are conservatives asking for? They're asking for anybody out there that questions the validity of a news story about Donald Trump to be prosecuted like Alex Jones. right? This is how you eliminate laws. This is how you change perceptions. And this is how you control behavior. So what we've seen since then is people more enhanced. And this movie plot about mistaking it for a divine presence, think about that. What's the pattern I've shown over the last couple of days that we're hearing over and over and over again? Every conservative talking head saying what? Speaking on behalf of God is what they're doing. All of these so-called Christians and conservatives speaking on God's behalf, as if that isn't blasphemous enough for them to come out and say it's divine intervention. God's intervened. God saved Donald Trump, right? The government put that narrative out there, and everybody who is conservative is repeating it. And every church out there is following suit because they're under mind control too, telling their congregation that it was divine intervention. If you don't believe it's divine intervention, then you don't have a right to even speak anymore. How dare you say it's not divine intervention? Meanwhile, somebody commented on one of my videos yesterday, made a great point. Was it divine intervention for the poor fellow that was supposedly shot? Oh, he spoiled. What was he, just in the line of, he had to die so Donald Trump could live to save America? Sure, whatever the narrative is that fits what you want it to be, because that's what we're headed towards. People are not seeing the actual reality, how these events in the news are staged. How and why are they staged? Why are they staged? Well, they're staged so that reactions occur like we just saw, which is mass hysteria. Order out of chaos. You ever heard divide and conquer? It's one of the most common themes we've ever heard before in film, in school, in life, right? Divide and conquer. Yet nobody seems to realize that it's real. Now, what are you witnessing around you right now? Divide, right? You're seeing division around us, left and right. Oh, you don't think that people are deliberately trying to divide us so that they can conquer us? That's exactly what they're doing. And then people just go, oh no, why? Because they can't escape the left-right paradigm. They could see movies like this, With Thine Ears Shall Bleed, and they could hear people like us talk about predictive programming with Trump, from The Simpsons to all these other things they've shown us over the years, and they roll their eyes at it. Why do they roll their eyes? Because they don't want to believe it. They don't want to believe all this that they've invested emotionally is fake, that they're literally invested in this left-right paradigm as if they were at the movie theaters, invested in Rocky Balboa versus Apollo Creed, choosing a side in the, come on, Rocky! And they refuse to believe it's fictional. I made the comparison to watching a movie, and people out there, their hair turns white. They're like, well, it's not the same thing. What do you mean it's not the same thing? Do you know Donald Trump personally? No. Well, that's the response. No, but I mean, yeah, I feel like I do. Right. This is mind control. This is what the government has been implementing since Operation Paperclip, since all these scientists, quote unquote, psychopaths, were brought over to America to work on things like MK Ultra. Now you're seeing on a day in, day out basis unleashed on the public. And we're all watching the results around us. Everybody who listens to my channel, I could see how frustrated you are. I know how frustrated you are. I'm having trouble sleeping over this because watching this mass hysteria, thinking that we could make a dent in this, it is getting to a point where it's getting frustrating. It's like I'm suddenly lining up more with Democrats, which is scary because of how psychotic conservatives have become since this event has happened. They are psychotic over it. And there's going to be more that comes. That's the problem. There's going to be more that comes. The outcome of this election, which could happen, just imagine if they put Biden back in. Who's going to believe that he actually won? And when I talk about the division of separating from blue states and red states, well, it would take something like that. It would take you literally not believing it anymore, that the deep state completely rigged it, that we need to separate as a country, where if Donald Trump isn't put into power, that people literally will pack their bags and leave their states, and conservative states will leave the union. Now, that's where I think that this is headed. A lot of people think it's a stretch. We'll see where it's going. But if Trump is put into power, okay, I doubt that the liberals have the, intestinal fortitude to pick up and leave without somebody leading them, right? Because they're followers. And now we're seeing that most conservatives are followers as well, even though they think that they're leaders. Most Democrats would need somebody like Obama to emerge to tell them to go here, and then maybe they would do it. But conservatives are more likely to go if Trump says we're going to conservative states, we're breaking from the union, the country's completely under compromise. They tried to take my life. People will buy into that. But if Trump is put into power, as a lot of people think is the way that we're headed, this army that he's building, this psychosis that just occurred, has enhanced it tenfold. People who are just casual MAGA, they are foaming at the mouth over all this stuff. And you see the two dueling conspiracies is that Democrats think that Trump had somebody do it to him and fake it so that he could get more support, because they're seeing how much support the mainstream media is giving to Trump all of a sudden, and they're angered by it because that's the same mainstream media that was coddling them for all these years, and now they're being betrayed by them, which I've told everyone was coming, right? And the conservatives are very angry because they believe that the person involved in the event was not who they claimed it was, that it was really the deep state who was trying to take him out. But what both sides don't realize is that this is a scripted event for the exact outcome, for you to feel one way or the other, but believe that the story is actually real, and then to mold your mind and manipulate you the way that the government plans on doing so. And it's all coming down on the 5th of November. Remember, the 5th of November. How convenient that that's the day. V for Vendetta, for anyone that doesn't get the reference. Or, of course, the famous quote from Guy Fawkes and blowing up Parliament. Well, this will pretty much the result of this fake election, not rigged election, fake election on November 5th will blow up the United States Constitution as we know it, because something big is coming out of it. So we have a film that comes out, and all of you know how predictive programming works. Thine ears shall bleed, where the premise of the film is that they hear a divine presence that they worship, right? Divine presence. What's the theme we hear this week? Divine intervention. Donald Trump is chosen by God. He's a prophet, right? So there's your divine presence, Donald Trump, right? And everybody's mistaking Donald Trump, worshiping Donald Trump, until they realize Donald Trump's sinister nature. Because that poem that he always tells you about the snake, it's about him. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.